Let's start off with the Kenya shilling, which has been strengthening of late. Do you think it is likely to keep this trend up?
Thank you, Larry. I do think the Kenya shilling will continue gaining against the dollar. All this is because of, mostly because of the dollar inflow from the horticultural center, the tea sector as well as what's happening in Europe. I think that's one of the biggest variables that we need to consider in this case. Whatever happens in Europe, if the crisis deepens, the shilling will be affected negatively.
Everybody eyeing what happens in Greece on Sunday after those elections, aren't we?
Yes, yes.
Excellent.
Yes, yeah.
The central bank has been mopping up quite a bit of liquidity. It was mopping up as much liquidity today again. This appears to be working, at least for the moment.
Yes. The central bank came out from the last MPC meeting stating that they will continue supporting the shilling. They retained the CBR rate because that was one of the reasons why they retained the CBR rate at 18% to continue to support the shilling. Whatever happens in Europe, they expect the ramifications to be tough on the Kenya shilling because Europe is one of the largest export market in Kenya. So whatever happens in Europe will have a big effect on the Kenya shilling, and that's why the central bank will keep on mopping up excess liquidity to support the shilling to a range of about 84, 83 shillings.
Let's talk about the Nairobi Securities Exchange right there. We had that graph up. The biggest gainers, one of them is Pan Africa Insurance, which there has been some talk of an acquisition pending, and investors appear to like this right now.
Yes. As you can tell, this is the second company which we've gotten such news. The first one was Kenyan Market, with Puma indicating its desire to acquire the 100% of the company. With Pan Africa, there was a shareholder meeting and it was approved that the main shareholder should increase from 50% to 60%. These are positive news to the investors. It shows that foreigners are taking investment in Kenya in a positive way, in a positive note. It boosts investor confidence among the local investors. They are looking now at counters in the NSE as potential takeover targets, basically, and this is very good for the market. It's keep on pushing up the NSE 20 share index.
Talk to me about Kenya Power signing a deal with Siemens to improve the grid, but I'm a bit concerned about the plan to connect at least 50% of Kenyans to electricity. Get this, by 2020, it appears to be too far. What is our long-term outlook on this stock?
Well, KPLC has always been, on a personal, one of my favorite stocks, only because the sector that it's in at the moment, together with Kenyan, it has so many potential, so many opportunities, that the only way for this stock is up. With the current deal, it signed a 1.3 billion to connect 50% of Kenyans by 2020. I think that's a bit, it's a bit fair because we are currently, the energy sector, Kenyans who have access to electricity are it's very minimal, in fact, in the rural areas. So they're looking at ways of taking this electricity to the rural areas, and this project will push their objectives even closer. So I think by 2020, considering we have the Vision 2030 mandate, I think that's a very, very good, it's a positive sign.
Kenya Power may be one of your favorite stocks, but I don't know if it's one of your favorite service providers. A lot of Kenyans do not like it, and maybe that also affects how the share performs.
KPLC has been trading at 14 shillings. We see that it's still undervalued at the moment. We're expecting, we have a target price for Kenya Power at around 22 shillings. So we can see a lot of upside potential with this counter. And then the news of this deal even boosts the popularity of this counter even more.
All right, people, you had the man. Let's talk about why the number of domestic investors appears to have picked up this week vis-a-vis foreign investors at the market.
Basically, accounted to the low interest rates from the primary auctions from the government papers. It has been on a declining trend at the moment, but just this week it has slightly increased. So we've seen fund managers moving from the bond market, the fixed income market, to now the equities market, where there's a lot of cheap counters, undervalued counters which are trading to nearly their 9-month to 12-month low, and they're very cheap, and the fundamentals of the companies are excellent. So we're seeing a lot of portfolio changing, as in guys are moving from bond market to the equities market. That's why we're seeing a lot of activities from local investors who are boosting up the NSE 20 share index.
Wrap up with how the market digested the details in yesterday's budget. The finance minister saying the economic growth rate of 5.2%, that estimate is still there, maybe even 6.0% in the medium term.
I think it's being a bit too bullish on that. I think there's still a lot of challenges. There's still a lot of risks ahead in terms of the global risk aversion.
So where do you think is more ambitious, or where is more achievable, if not 5.2%?
I think for 2012, 4.5% should be the target in economic growth, because 5.2 is too bullish. Because we haven't dealt with any of the external risk. There's still potential risk concerning the elections next year.
Right.
He didn't take that into account as well, because that will have a very big effect on the market.
Moses, you're going to the weekend for us on a bearish note. All right, we'll leave it there. Many thanks for Moses Waireri, research analyst at Genghis Capital in Nairobi for us.